hopefully President Putin will agree to that also, and we can get this show on the road.
There's something about Saudi Arabia. Maybe it's the air or the water or the setting. Whatever it is working because the kingdom is delivering reset after reset. Last month, it hosted US and Russian officials. Yesterday, it hosted US and Ukrainian officials. Both meetings ended in success. Kiev has agreed to a US ceasefire proposal. It's not a permanent one. It will last for 30 days. Basically, Ukraine is willing to stop the fighting for 1 month.
During today's talks, the American side proposed taking a first step forward, establishing a full ceasefire for 30 days. Not just stopping missiles, drones, and bombs, not just ensuring security in the Black Sea, but implementing a complete ceasefire along the entire front line. Ukraine welcomes this proposal. We see it as a positive proposal and are ready to take this step.
It's a big climb down by Volodymyr Zelensky. He was suspicious of talks with Russia, but now he's all in. He has also agreed to sign the minerals deal with the Americans, the same one that he walked out of. If you look at the optics, so much has changed. Last month, Zelensky was kicked out of the White House. But yesterday, the US and Ukraine released a joint statement. A statement that praises the brave Ukrainian people. And this also tells you a lot about Donald Trump. Most times his unpredictability is bad, but sometimes it can be good. Because in Jeddah, Ukraine was not the only side making concessions. Trump gave them something in return. He has resumed military aid and intelligence sharing to Kiev. Remember, both these things had been paused by the United States. The idea was to force Zelensky to the talking table, and it worked. Now that he's there, the aid freeze has been lifted. US weapons will once again flow into Ukraine. But the big headline, of course, is a ceasefire. Zelensky has agreed to it, so the question now is, will Putin agree too? Will he agree to the ceasefire deal? US officials plan to meet the Russians soon. They will present the truce proposal to Moscow.
We're going to take the offer to them. We're going to tell them this is what's on the table. Ukraine is ready to stop shooting and start talking. And now it'll be up to them to say yes or no. I hope they're going to say yes. And if they do, then I think we made great progress. If they say no, then we'll unfortunately know what the impediment is to peace here.
That was Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the US foreign minister, if you will. Let me highlight what he said. I'm sorry. If Russia agrees to the truce, great news. If they don't, we will know what is the impediment to peace. Basically, whether it's Russia or Ukraine that is impeding peace. That's what the Americans want to find out. President Trump is hopeful of a breakthrough. He says he will speak to Putin this week. Listen in.
To get the Russians to agree?
I'll talk to Vladimir Putin, yeah.
When will
I
you
want to
talk
get,
to
look, that's the other, it takes two to tango, as they say, right? So hopefully he'll also agree. And I really think that would be 75% of the way. The rest is getting it documented and, you know, negotiating land positions, etc.
So you'll talk to him this week about the deal?
I think so, yeah.
And what is Russia saying? The Kremlin has refused to say yes or no. They are waiting to be briefed by the Americans. Only after that will they comment. And it's a bit of a pickle for them. A similar truce was proposed by France last month, and Russia was quick to reject that. And you can see why. Putin has the advantage on the battlefield. If he keeps fighting, he can annex more Ukrainian land. If he stops, he will give a breather to Kiev to maybe regroup or restock. Plus, Vladimir Putin is under no pressure to cease fire. Trump can bring Zelensky to the table by cutting off aid, but he has no such power or leverage over Putin. At best, Trump can impose some sanctions. So militarily, a truce does not really make sense for Russia. It is a no-brainer. But politically, like I said, it's a pickle. If Putin does not agree to the truce, it will create a perception that he never wanted peace in the first place, that all this diplomacy was bluster. It was all fake. So what will he do? Will he demand a peace deal instead of a truce? Will he set tall conditions for it? Or will he agree and take it from there? Among the people, there is little hope. Both in Ukraine and in Russia, after 3 years of war, they are wary of truce talks.
Given the fact that while the talks were still being held, Russia launched Shahid drones at us, chances are low that Russia will agree to ceasefire.
Now, to be honest, I am very doubtful that Putin will agree to the ceasefire. They officially said a few times that they won't stop until they capture Kherson region.
For sure, for us, proposed ceasefire is not good because we advantage on the battlefield.
I am not a specialist, but I think proposed ceasefire won't be effective.
We have learned a few things from yesterday's talks. Number one, US-Ukraine ties have rebounded. After the Oval Office disaster, it seemed very unlikely, but Trump's pressure tactics have paid off. Zelensky has agreed to American terms. That's the first takeaway. Number two, the fears of a unilateral peace were hyped up. The fears that Trump would cut a deal without Ukraine. That's not happening. Clearly, that was not his plan. Yesterday's joint statement reaffirmed Ukraine's place at the table. It also hinted at a role for Europe. And finally, point number three, the truce proposal could move things along. Until now, every side has been keeping their cards close to their chest, but now they cannot afford to do that. Russia will have to give a response to the truce request. If they accept, Kiev will have to sue for peace. If they don't accept, Trump will have to make a choice. Does he keep up the mediation effort? Does he cut off military aid to Ukraine? Does he put sanctions on Russia? Or does he just leave both countries to figure things out themselves? He will have to decide. And it all hinges on Putin's next move. We'll be tracking things closely for you.
Merci beaucoup. Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Namaste, Mr. President.
Bharat Kelogon, Komeri Namaste.
How many people generally follow you in interviews?
Typically, in a month, we have viewers up to 150 million. That's more than twice the population of France. And in the last 2 years, we had 3 billion viewers. So I say, Laurent, this is your chance to be famous. You're on first post. One word to describe your equation with Prime Minister Modi.
Amitié.
As India and France work together, are you creating a new era of non-alignment in the technology space?
India is a training superpower. 1 million engineers a year, more than all of Europe and the US combined. So we have that partnership. We have a partnership on the environment and the economy. We also have civilian nuclear programs, and that is something we've developed far beyond the France-India relationship. So we want to work together on AI.
And then comes China with its DeepSeek, creating models at a fraction of the cost. Did that innovation take you by surprise? Did that breakthrough make you sit up and think, what did the Chinese do and how?
But what did DeepSeek do? They took everything that was already available from the last AI model, and then they recalibrated it.
Are you going to ban Chinese AI in France?
So we don't have this American approach of banning tech because of where it comes from.